So joined here by our senior women's manager, Sean Russell. Sean, thanks very much for joining us.
Yeah, no pleasure. Pleasure to be here.
How's the new role treating you?
Yeah, good, enjoyable. Yeah, it's been an enjoyable process so far. Obviously, it's a recruitment stage, and we're putting plans in place for how we foresee the season going. So yeah, it's been an enjoyable process so far.
Talk to us a little bit about, I suppose, rewind back to the start of the year, the under-17s. That was the team that you were in charge of. How did it go for you?
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was an amazing year. Very, very enjoyable one from a coaching standpoint. We had a fantastic group of players to work with, it was a really successful one, I think, in terms of how we approached the season with the girls and exposing them to the elements of the game that they needed to be exposed to. And I think in reflection, we were all really happy with how it went.
Talk to us a little about some of the players that were in there as well. You've got Ava Cotter, Madison McGrath as well, who had a fantastic season as well, plus those appearances as well for the Irish team too. What's it like to have those kind of players in the squad and to be able to work with them week in, week out as well? Yeah,
it's it's the two players you've named along with a number of others are and all the squad last year. They're exactly what you want as a coach, to have players who are engaged and who want to get better and who want to learn and develop. I think obviously with the more recent international call-ups with Evelyn and Madison, I think it's just a reflection on how hard they worked all year and the talent that they have. And they're two players in particular, along with more in the group that we're very fortunate to have at the club, and we are looking forward to continuing to work with them.
What's it like when you're a manager of an under-17s team? Is it? I wouldn't say that results don't necessarily matter. Of course, you want to win games and you want to progress as much as you can. But is it more along the process of building those players for the future and bringing them into that cycle of moving up into senior football? Yeah,
it's it can be challenging at times, because at the end of the day, we were in the elite phase of the under-17s. So first and foremost, you have to have good players to compete, and I think that's important. And I think to be respectful to the players as well, particularly with the group we had last year. They're very competitive. You could see that side of them, so we definitely don't want to take that away from them. But ultimately, for myself and the staff last year, the objective was always to make sure that we challenged them as much as we can in every aspect of the game, to make sure that they are getting enough repetitions of all actions in, because it's not so much a luxury, but at under 17's age, we can take away the responsibility of just being results based, but we're also still encouraging them the importance of their actions, and we're trying to expose them to as many elements of the game as we can that can help them develop and have the required skills, that when they do get to first team level and results are probably more of a target, that they have the necessary skills that they need.
And in the women's game as well, the leap from, I suppose, underage to senior football it's a much shorter gap than you would find in the men's game. You're seeing quite young players being brought into senior teams as well. So it's important that they kind of develop, I suppose, not just the right skills essentially, but I suppose the mental resilience as well, to move up into that kind of senior football side of things.
Yeah, definitely. There's a transition process in that, going from academy football to senior football, going from playing with your own age group to various ages and competing with players of different experiences and everything. And I think it's important, particularly here for us, that we understand where our young players are at, and we understand where they are on that transitional process, that we create an environment for them that they can transition quite comfortably, but while being challenged as well. And it's something that we have to make sure that we look after the players in, and we hold ourselves accountable as well for that transitional process, because we've got a lot of great talent within the club. We're aware of that, and we want to make sure that we give them the best opportunity of making that transition with ease and go and be the best version of themselves when they do get the chance.
And I suppose in terms of the long-term aspect of the club as well, it's like an essential, isn't it, really, so that you're not constantly having to look outside the club, that you look inwards first before you go outside. Yeah,
absolutely. I think it should be. I think it's the way it should be, particularly in this country. We've got to be looking at the youngest within the club and seeing them as our next group, and making sure that, you know, we're developing them to the level that's required at our first team level, but also within the culture of the club. You know, we want to make sure that we continue to keep that coming through, and you know, it's very important that we create an environment that when those young players come through, we've got senior players who have been within that academy and who have been going through that experience, that, you know, and that for me is where we develop our culture. It's not something that happens overnight, but I think if we're clear on what we want to do, clear on the direction we want to go in, you know, I think it's very achievable with hard work, and yeah, that's something that we want to do.
100%. And you yourself obviously made the step up to senior management then from there as well. What was it like, I suppose, the discussions around that, and then learning that you had gotten the job?
Yeah, it kind of happened quite fast, to be honest. You know, for me, it was a no-brainer. You know, it was you know, I've absolutely loved my time in the women's game. Coming in and working in the club, you know, I'm very, very passionate about what I do. I think the project, in terms of having worked with the 17s last year, and trying to be a part of not just bringing them through, but bringing the club forward as well from a senior point of view, and building on last year, was something that, you know, I'm very grateful to be a part of, with the timing of it, and to be around. So yeah, it's you know, it's a huge honour for me and privilege to be given the role. And like I said, it happened so fast. It was just kind of, you know, I didn't have to think too long about it at all, and yeah, I couldn't really wait to get going on it.
Does it I suppose change kind of, I suppose, do you have to change your own mentality a little bit as well? We discussed earlier about it's not necessarily at the 17s level, it's not a results-based business. Now you're moving up into a case where the results matter, and bringing those players through and all that kind of stuff matters too. So it's kind of like that duality that's happening now more than it was before.
Yeah, for sure. But for me, you know, it's I'm always been a really, really competitive person. We want to win every game last year, don't get me wrong, but you know, the result for us was always making sure that come the end of the year, the players could say to themselves at the end of the 17th season that they'd done everything they could within that period to make sure they became a better player. And for us next year, you know, in terms of what we view as you know, results, of course it will be towards the board, but we will never forget as well that process, because ultimately it's about the small wins, it's about the process, it's keeping the standards high week in, week out, day in, day out, and you know, those bigger term results will come as a result of that. So yeah, absolutely, for me it's you know, I'm really looking forward to that challenge of, you know, being able to you know, probably focus more so on that, because you know, I think anyone that's involved in sport are putting the time in. You know, we want to win and we want the big results and we want the big rewards, but we can't be naive either and think that they come easy. You know, we understand what we need to do to get there, and we've got a good, clear vision on how we can do it.
What about looking ahead, I suppose, to 2025 now, in terms of players coming in, players going out, etc. Where do you kind of stand on that, and where are we as a team in the senior women's team?
Yeah, we're in a good place. We're quite happy. We've managed to maintain a lot of the core players that we identified early towards the end of the season last year. You know, we've got a really good foundation coming in off the back of last year. Like, there was some fantastic work done with the senior team. You know, and yeah, in terms of players coming in, you know, I think we've got a very clear profile on the players that we want to bring into the club. It's important that they're good players, we're good people as well, you know, and we've got a really good player ID process going on now at the moment. Of course, it's difficult to say at this point in time in the off season, because you know, nothing is certain. But yeah, I feel like I feel positive towards 2025 and optimistic that it'll be a good year for the club.
Along with kind of bringing those kind of younger players through up into the senior squad as well, I know there's a kind of a drive to, I suppose, bring some of the local players who are from Limerick and the surrounding areas back home to play senior football here as well. Is that part of the, I suppose, the overall plan and the part of the vision as well, that you want those good players playing here in the place where they're from?
Yeah, I think, look, we want good players playing here, you know, and there's good players, like you said, from Limerick around the country, and you know, like ultimately it's about putting the best team we can on the pitch, and you know, we want to go and we want to win games and we want to develop a winning culture. And you know, I think it's very clear that, you know, within the club, you know, I think we we are looking to bring those younger players through. But I think for us, it's about developing a model that players want to be a part of, and that they're not difficult conversations. And we want to challenge ourselves to be the best we can be, develop a model that is enticing for players, and potentially then the ones for whether it's Limerick or surrounding counties or wherever it may be, hopefully then it's a case that they want to be a part of that and follow. But for us, it's about getting the best players in that we can, that are available with the right characteristics to help drive the club forward.
What about yourself then as well, in terms of your management style, shall we say? How do you manage? What kind of what does an atypical Sean Russell team look like, and how do they play, I suppose? Yeah,
well, we talked about there, and we talk about styles and philosophies and all that, but ultimately it's about winning games. And it's for me, it's about designing a philosophy within the club that I feel like we're in control and we take full responsibility on winning football games. And we want to play exciting football. We want to take responsibility for our own performance, which means we'll put high standards on ourselves as coaches and as players to make the right decisions in the right times. And we want to excite people. We want to play. We want to test the players in every single aspect of their game, from a technical point of view, tactical point of view, physical, mental. So, it should be an exciting brand of football, I think, for anyone that comes to watch us. And ultimately, it's about giving them something to come back for me. And I think we can do all of that and win games. And it's my job to make sure that we have a process that allows us to do it.
It's been fantastic, I suppose, to see the mentality change within the senior women's team with the season just gone. The frustration at close losses, the frustration coming off the pitch, kind of cursing that you didn't win the game, which was a big diversion away from previous season where there was just a lot of losses that you had to kind of deal with. Is it great for you as a manager to come in and have that kind of platform to build on, where it's not good enough anymore to just walk off and go, we've got to draw? Now there's a mentality there. It's like, look, we're here to win. Let's go and compete.
Yeah, I think so. Walking off the pitch after any game, there'll be games when we win, and it'll be frustrating. Maybe for me personally, I found in my own experiences that it could have been probably a cleaner win or a better win, or I've always found I've never come off a match and lost or drawn and
true manager always
said it wasn't
to fix,
and said it wasn't anything to do and with us. And it's important that we do look at ourselves first, and I've always been one to make sure that we look at ourselves first and make sure that we've done everything in our ability. And I think it's a league where they are small margins, and there was a lot of cases last year, but leagues and cups, and the best teams that go and achieve those things, they manage those margins really well. And I think we have to be aware going into the league that there is a lot of small margins within the league, and you can see it from the results last year. And that's something, again, closing those small gaps at higher levels is actually a really difficult thing to do. And we've got to make sure that we're aware of that, and we've got to practice that. We've got to make sure that we're on the better end of those small margins from next year, for sure.
The challenge as well is that the league itself has become far more competitive than it was a couple of years ago. Yeah. Absolutely fantastic season that just happened. Great twos and fro's about where the title was going to go and what was going to happen. And I suppose that's part of the challenge too, isn't it? Looking at what other teams doing and how you kind of figure out what it is that you can counteract.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's about preparing in every single aspect that we can to go and win the football game, and that's part of it, And I think, it was an exciting league last year. The quality is only getting better. It's only going to continue to get better. I've seen it at the underage this year, working in and around, and some fantastic footballers all around the country. A couple
of international players in there too.
Yeah,
well, which is great
all around the country. It's it was so enjoyable seeing it and seeing the direction that it is going in. And we've got to make sure that we're at our absolute best every single game to give ourselves a chance. And we're under no illusion that teams in the league will be approaching it the same. So, and that's what we want to be a part of. That's what I want to be a part of. That's what I want my players, to be to strive towards, is competing with the best and challenge ourselves against the best, and making sure that we work and every day in training to make sure that we can compete with the best, and that we can push them as much as we can, and then we'll see where we go from there.
If I was to shake a magic 8 ball or a crystal ball or something in front of you and say, what does a great 2025 look like at the end of the season? What's your thoughts on that? Where do you hope it is?
Yeah, well, look, listen. The obvious one, is to have silverware. To have silverware in our hands. But and that's what we will be striving towards. And I think that every team will, and that's no secret. We want to achieve as much as we can, and we understand that we are at a rebuilding stage at the moment in this stage of the season where, like I said, we've kept the core group. There will be some new faces, but ultimately, we want to have silverware in our hands. Of course we do, but we won't lose sight of the small wins along the way, because it is a very, very important thing to me is that we turn up and we hold the same standards each day, week in, week out, and those big rewards come from doing those small wins each day. And we understand the process too, but of course, we would love to have some silverware in our hands by the end of it.
100%, yeah, definitely. And it's like, I suppose as well that you kind of touched on something there, is that I think people often forget the work that goes in behind it all as well. There's training, there's management sessions, all of those kind of different things. Obviously the coaching staff will talk to each other, all these kind of different things as well. So it's not just a simple case of you go to training and everybody turns up on a Saturday and they go play football. Mm-hmm. That those kind of days are kind of gone now, aren't they? And it's all a process that has to lead somewhere.
Yeah, and it's about it's about building sustainable success, and that's the most important thing, because of course come the end of the season everybody wants to be successful in terms of having trophy, but we want to see progress as well. Like, we want to be able to look back in 12 months and look at ourselves and say, yeah, we've made good progress and we've moved forward and we're getting closer to where we want to be. And I think if we build it sustainable enough process, well then that success becomes more and more consistent, and and that's really what we want. Is we want to work to get to the top, because we're not there yet, and then we want to make sure that when we get there, we understand we deserve to be there, and that we're in a position then that we can stay there, and it's important, and that comes from building that sustainable model that we're working. We build a good foundation right now. We go at the right pace. We put the right parts in place, and we'll get to where we deserve to be off the work we do.
Fantastic, Sean. Thanks very much for joining us. Always a pleasure to talk to you. We'll probably catch up with you again before the season starts. See where we are. See about your thoughts about the head of the season. But thank you very much for everything and giving us your time today.
Yeah, no worries at all. Thank you very much as well. Thanks.